This is a short introduction to English 11 and what can be expected during this course. This is my 22nd year at Mid-Lakes. I have taught everything from 9th through 12th grade, and 11th grade is definitely my favorite grade to teach. I enjoy the maturity level that the students have reached without having reached that stage of senioritis, which they run into either next year or towards the tail end of this year sometimes. Which is good because there is a Regents exam at the end of the course, so it's important that they stay focused. It's important that they turn in the assignments which are meant to help them get ready for that test at the end of the year, because in most circumstances it is a requirement for graduation. At this point, we have to assume that they are taking the test at the end of the year, and therefore that they need to be prepared. And unfortunately, based on the situation, they're at a little bit of a disadvantage because they have missed the last few months of last year essentially, and it would have been kind of a prep for the 10th grade final, which is a prep for the Regents exam. And then of course this year they are going to be missing out on some class time, and they are going to be in a virtual situation, but we're going to make the best of the situation, and we are going to try to prepare them to the best of our ability here. But it is important that they do the assignments, especially the assignments that are geared towards preparing them for that test, such as the argument essay, which we are currently working on now, such as the text analysis that we do throughout the course of the year. Very important that they do that. I'm going to try to make it as much like they are in the classroom as possible, especially when it comes to those things. As it says down here in the third point, there's going to be a special focus on preparing students to take the test because of that tough spot that they're in, and I'm going to do what I can to try to make it as effective as I can, them being away from the classroom, but also getting them prepared at the same time. My expectation for this year is that not only are students attending the Zoom sessions, but that they're engaging with the work that is being assigned through Schoology, right? And that kind of goes back to what I just talked about, that it's going to be important that they're completing these assignments, being self-motivated enough to complete the assignments, especially those ones that are helping them prepare for the Regents exam. As much as possible, I'm trying to put, everything is going on to Schoology. I'm putting some videos on there of lessons that I would have taught in preparation, in terms of how to do the outline, even for an argument essay, which is there for them. I have videos of myself reading the text that would be for an argument essay. I have a video of myself up there now of me just explaining what the argument essay is all about and the importance of it in relation to taking the test. So all of those lessons that I would have given and all those materials that I would have provided if the students were here are being provided to them through Schoology. So it's very important that they keep up with Schoology, especially if they're not able to attend Zoom sessions for whatever reason. I'm trying to minimize the negative impact of the situation we find ourselves in. Okay, but it's really important that they access Schoology, that they come on Zoom, that they're asking questions when they need to, and not just being uncomfortable, in that virtual environment. To reach out to me in some respect, whether through the virtual environment or through messaging or whatever the case may be, and we'll try to get through any barriers that may be hindering people from being successful. It says here, I'm trying to use Schoology quite a bit whenever possible to deliver instruction for students who are unable to attend the Zoom sessions, or as a way to have audio-visual reminders of how to complete certain assignments, right? So it's all there for them. So in that way, it's a little bit of an advantage, right? Because you may sit there in class and watch me and maybe need to hear it again. Well, it's there for you again on Schoology. And I've tried to make things in Schoology be very clear and easy to find. Study guides for the book that we're currently doing, 5 People You Meet in Heaven, they're all right there for them. I also regularly encourage students to reach out to communicate whenever they're having issues. As I tell them, communication is very important given the circumstances, and again, if they are uncomfortable reaching out in a Zoom class, I encourage them to jump back on Zoom and ask me their questions, or they can message me questions. whatever it's going to take to make them successful, right? But the communication is the key. If they're struggling with something, if something doesn't look right to them, whatever the case may be, if they need more info about a particular aspect of whatever we're doing, I just need them to reach out to me and let me know. I can be reached either through Schoology, through messaging on Schoology, or through my direct email, which is jross@midlakes.org. And I would like to think that I'm pretty fast at getting back to people with their questions or concerns. And the grading breakdown for this course is as follows. 25% would be made up of tests and quizzes. I don't know how much in terms of tests and quizzes I'm going to give given the virtual nature of things, but there may be some. 35% writing and projects, so that's a very key component. Goes back to what I discussed earlier about the Regents exam. So it's very important that the writing assignments get in, especially because they're going to be so compressed and probably fewer than they would be normally. Normally I would mix some projects in with what we're doing, and that's just going to be difficult to do under the circumstances. So I may go light on the projects but keep the writing in, maybe go heavier on the writing if the possibility presents itself. So it's extremely important not to miss the writing assignments, and based on the way how we're having to do this, it's going to take longer to do the writing assignments. So there may only be one this first marking period, for instance. We just started an argument essay, and what would normally take me 2 weeks if we were in class together is probably going to take me more like 4 weeks to have them complete. So everything is going to take longer. I do need to make sure I take that into account, that I'm not going to just send kids on their way without the proper guidance, without offering the opportunity to get help, those kinds of things. But it does make it even more important than normal for them to get the writing assignments completed, and completed to the best of their ability, not only for their grade in the class, but also in preparation for what we have to expect is going to happen, which would be the Regents at the end of the course. 20% is made up of participation, which means not only attending the Zoom classes, but also making yourself visible. Many people seem to be camera shy, which I get. But when I ask everybody to jump on the camera, I expect them to jump on the camera. If I ask them to get involved in a discussion of some sort or answer a question on Zoom, then the expectation is that they will do so. And that goes into that 20%. So that should be an easy 20% to get, but we've already run into some situations of people being camera shy, or of people jumping off their cameras. So it's important to encourage your child to be an active participant on Zoom and not just simply log on and disappear. And then 20% is going to be the homework and the classwork. So for instance, I am doing a book with them, which I normally would do in the spring, but I've decided to do in the fall because it is a high interest book and an easy book to read. And I'm simply having the students read, giving them time during our block time, but having them read and answer questions for the book, and then that would go into the homework section of the grading. And ultimately, at the end of the book, there will be a larger assignment, which, like I said, I don't typically give a lot of tests and quizzes to begin with, probably less so while we're virtual, but in this instance, that will be a situation where there would be a test at the end of that book. So that's it in a nutshell. One of the key things with 11th grade is that Regents exam, and I would ask you to encourage your children to be active, not only in the Zoom sessions, but being active in their learning, to reach out when they have questions, but also to try to get them to be self-motivated and to make sure that they're getting this work in and not putting themselves in a bad spot, and to be putting themselves in a position for success, not only for the class, but for the test that we have to expect is going to happen at the end of the year. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, either through the Schoology messaging or directly through my email. Thank you.